And welcome to another at-home edition of MLB Tonight, presented by Camping World. Matt Vasgersian from the home studios. Same for Carlos Pena and Dan Plesac, brought to you courtesy of NTT Home Plate Camp. Guys, we've got a lot to get to today. Charlie Blackmon of the Rockies is going to join us coming up in just a bit. But we start, as we seem to do every installment of MLB Tonight, with the status of the 2020 season. We're aware of the timeline, and per Ken Rosenthal's report, Players Union was presented with a proposal to start the season. We've talked about it a lot on this show. It'll be an 80-ish game schedule, expanded postseason, potentially including 7-inning doubleheaders and some things that would expedite play. But the next step is Major League Baseball presenting the Players Association with an 80-page document outlining health and safety protocols to ensure the players in this pandemic time. That's a very interesting development here, and we're, of course, monitoring it on MLB Tonight, and we'll provide you any details as that information becomes available. Everybody's been affected by this pandemic, in particular, players entering free agent seasons, and there are some interesting names on the list who have a lot riding on a good 2020 season. If we talk about these individually, these players that is, you could make a case for each of them needing to play this year. I'm going to ask you guys to grab one name that might kind of grab your attention and talk about what playing this season may mean to him and his career.
You know what, Matt? I'm going to go ahead and start with Joenny Cespedes. Cespedes hasn't played in the past 2 seasons because of injuries. And that's a huge problem. He's entering his age 35 season. He's going to finish, be a free agent at 35. And he hasn't performed in the last 2 years. Now, if he goes out there, gets hot for a few months, hits 20 home runs, then he'll be looking at another contract. But if he doesn't perform, Matt, Dan, I'm telling you, he may not find a job after this one. So a lot at stake here for Joenny Cespedes.
Well, for me, Matt, it's JT Realmuto with the Philadelphia Phillies. Catching right now is at such a premium. The Phillies pulled the trigger in the offseason to bring in Realmuto last year, won the Gold Glove and the Silver Slugger. When you talk about the best in the game right now, Yadier Molina, Buster Posey, Contreras from the Cubs, I think he's at the top of the heap right now. And the Phillies have built this young team around a core of young pitchers. And that guy you're looking at right there, those numbers just pop out, Matt. In an age in baseball right now where teams are just trying to get their hands on premium catching, the Phillies have their guy, and it's going to be interesting to see, shortened season or not. This is going to be a big year for Realmuto and a big decision for the Phillies moving forward to try to lock this guy up long term.
Yeah, I think the Phillies have a lot riding on this because they have more than one player who grabs our attention here, and I'm going to go with Didi Gregorius because look, after a season last year in New York, his final season in the Bronx, that really wasn't the kind of Gregorius season he had envisioned due to recovering from Tommy John surgery. He tested the free agent waters, chose a short deal to go to Philly and kind of reestablish his star. He's in his age 30 season. Look, the last few years in New York, you have to consider him among the premier shortstops in the game. Despite the down 2019, and again, injury kind of affected those numbers, played in half the season. A lot of people thought that Gregorius would have gotten a multi-year deal someplace. Instead, his choice, he took the one-year deal to reunite with Joe Girardi, reestablish his value on the market. So I think the Phillies have a couple of players on this list. There's another player on that list that I think is worth talking about, and the team certainly from its standpoint as well, and that's Mookie Betts. Imagine, and none of us want to imagine it, if there is no 2020 season, the LA Dodgers gave up a whole lot for 1 year of Mookie Betts. The Dodgers need this season to get off to a pretty good start. They need to play it because if they don't, they have nothing to show for what they traded Betts for this past winter.
Yeah, that's interesting take right there, Matty. I'm not even sure that's going to play out. If there is no 2020 season, then what the Dodgers basically traded for nothing, or if it gets counted against them. So this is such a messed up situation because of what's going on over there. A lot of things are going to have to be looked at again. I mean, it wouldn't be fair if that's the case for Mookie Betts to walk just because there was no 2020 season. You understand? So it'll be very interesting to see how things get agreed upon and what things the player association and the MLB and the owners can agree to. But it's going to be really interesting, and there's just a heap load of uncertainty out there, and no one likes to live in uncertainty, and that's precisely where we're at right now.
You know, Matt, the Dodgers have been under siege because they've won the West so easily the last few years that they were looking to acquire that guy, and they were envisioning an outfield with Cody Bellinger and Mookie Betts. A rotation includes Clayton Kershaw, Walker Buehler, and it looked like a really good team just got a lot better by bringing in Mookie Betts and, by the way, bringing in David Price also. So I think the Dodgers, you know, they quenched the appetite of a lot of the fan base in LA that was looking for that one more year, that potential superstar. It's been a while since they've won the whole thing. They've had a handle on the NL West, but they're looking for bigger fish to fry, and they were hoping Mookie Betts was going to be that guy. So, Matt, you touched on it. I think for all the teams in baseball that really want to play, I think none more right now than the Dodgers.
Boy, so much at stake in LA and the other 29 major league cities. Indeed, what do the players think about the situation we're in? We'll find out from one of them coming up. Charlie Blackmon's been working out during the pandemic. What else has he been up to? And what does he think about the chances and proposal to get back on the field in 2020? We'll visit with the four-time All-Star next.
MLB Tonight is presented by Camping World, making RVing fun and easy since 1966. Visit campingworld.com today.
Welcome back to MLB Tonight, presented by Camping World. Quick trivia question. Who's led the big leagues in hits for the last 4 years? We gave it up. That's right, Charlie Blackmon. And to lead the league in hits over a 4-year period, you have to stay in shape, quarantine or otherwise. And it's good to have Charlie on with us on MLB Tonight. So clearly you're spending some time in the weight room during this period, Charlie. What else have you been doing to try to stay sharp? Nothing can replicate game speed, as we know. So what have you been doing?
I am doing my best to stay sane right now. I'm filling my time with a lot of training. I'm on a pretty strict training program. I'm trying to be as much of a baseball player as I can while still social distancing and not being around the Rockies. So I'm hitting BP, playing catch, defensive work, lifting weights, and then that only takes up half my day, and then I'm getting real creative after that.
That would take up about 20 minutes of my day. So there is the difference, America, in a professional athlete and a non-athlete. I want to get to the proposal, Charlie, that Major League Baseball sent the Players Association in a minute. But before we get into that, I'm just curious about the dynamic between you and your teammates. You mentioned everybody's on their own now. Is there a lot of communication? Is it the old, hey, what have you heard series of texts every day?
Communication is not exactly baseball's strong suit. I'll say that. But we're doing a good job. We're having, hitters meetings via Zoom. We're leading the league in group text messages right now. Catching up with my teammates on Xbox. We're trying our best to keep a tight knit locker room there, and we do have pockets of guys that are working out together. Groups of 3 and 4, that kind of stuff here and there. But for the most part, we're doing as much as we can electronically.
It's for players. You have these extended families, right? Your extended family, your professional family in Denver, and then where your actual family, your relatives are in different part of the country. And in your case, I know you have a lot of people still in Georgia. Is everybody good? You've been checking in with the family and the friends from childhood?
Yes, sir. Everybody's healthy right now. We're very lucky, very thankful. We've got a lot of people in Atlanta. I'm here in Denver, which helps me feel like I'm not on total vacation. I'm still here in the city where I play ball and a part of the community here. And, things are tough here as well, just like the rest of the country. But we're looking forward to that light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, we all are, man. And that's what I want to get into you with now is the actual proposal and some of the things that Major League Baseball has committed to a plan, plans being reviewed by the Players Association. Um, again, without the media, having read every detail in it, from the reports we get from Ken Rosenthal and others, we understand that there are some pretty forward-thinking things that might need to happen in order for play to resume in 2020. One of those things is doubleheaders, 7-inning doubleheaders, minor league style. How do you feel about that? And are there other things that you've heard of that you feel strongly for or maybe push back on?
I am in the camp that wants to play as much baseball as possible. I think the country needs this. People want to watch a live event that matters, that's going to have postseason implications, and as much baseball as we can play. I think that's only going to help us, and it's only going to help the country. And I think you need to have as many games as you can so that you can have a legitimate postseason picture as well.
It's great to hear you say that because I'm not sure if every player understands that there are other people in the industry that are relying on you guys getting back on the field for their paychecks to kick in too. It's about more than the 750, as I've heard people say. One of the other things that may happen as a result of this plan is an expanded postseason, and that had been discussed even before this current environment. For you guys and other teams in the West, good teams that have been chasing the Dodgers for years, I would imagine the chance to play in a tournament-style postseason is a welcome thing.
I'm not personally a big proponent of change. I love the game. I think it's great as is, and I don't like to tamper with it. However, these are crazy circumstances. Never happened in my lifetime. Hope it never happens again. Uh, I myself have been a part of a game 163. It's crazy to play 6 months of baseball and you still don't know who the best team in your own division is. I mean, things can happen in baseball that are just crazy. And what the heck, it might be good to have an expanded playoff situation. Just because I want to make sure that the best team gets in there. I want to see the best team at the end of the day. And the fewer games you play in the regular season, I think you're more likely to have it skewed the other way.
Yeah. Uncharted waters, my friend. None of us knows what the future holds. I'm with you. I hope you guys can get back on the field and we can have meaningful competition here sooner rather than later. We really appreciate you taking some time, Charlie. Stay healthy. Best of luck. And hopefully the next time we speak, we will be in the midst of the 2020 season.
I hope so. Thanks for having me.
We'll keep you in the National League after a break. Thursday on MLB Network, we're celebrating the legacy that is the Cubs-Cardinals rivalry. Dan Carlos and I have our favorite installments next.
Home Plate Camp is presented by NTT.
Welcome back to MLB Tonight, presented by Camping World. Thursday on MLB Network, we will celebrate the pageantry of the Cubs-Cardinals rivalry, and we'll kick it off at 1 Eastern with a game from June of '84 that was rather significant. We'll talk about it here in just a moment. At 5 Eastern, Cubs-Cardinals modern vintage, a couple of homers against Craig Kimbrell later, and the Cardinals were on their way to a sweep. At 7 Eastern, the re-airing of Birds of a Different Game, the 80s Cardinals documentary, and then a recent postseason matchup, Game 4 of the 2015 NLDS at 8 Eastern. Cubs-Cardinals Thursday on MLB Network. And I am rejoined by a pair of gentlemen who spent time in the midst of that rivalry. And when I tell you, Carlos, Cubs-Cardinals, what are among the first things that pop into your brain?
Well, Matty, look, I had heard about this rivalry for the longest time, but then I played for the Cubs in 2011 and I actually felt it. All right. Every single time we played the Cardinals, I could just feel it from the fans, and it's almost like the fans wanted just to immediately bury you whenever we walked into St. Louis. But I'll tell you what, I remember this moment in particular where Albert Pujols went back-to-back walk-offs over there in St. Louis, of course, and I just could not believe it. I'm like, seriously, this is crazy. The atmosphere was electric, and he delivers that big home run. Okay, he walked us off. That's Albert Pujols, fine. But then he does it again the very next day. Placata. I was like, are you serious? This guy is the real deal. I heard all about it in the news. I've seen the highlights. But then experiencing this, I was walking off that field like, wow, yeah, we did get buried. And get this, you get a laugh out of this. Then the next time we went over to the Cubs, we were over in Chicago, and the Cardinals came over. There were Cubs fans with Cubs jerseys saying Pujols, like Pujols, come to us, because he was a free agent that year. So you could understand how heartbroken I was. I was actually having a pretty decent season. I'm like, damn, guys, I mean, come on. like you don't want to sign me back?
You know what, Matt? My relation as far as that Cub Cardinals thing, it was off the field. It was with the mascot, Fred Bird. My daughter Madeline was 2 years old in 1994, and we had her second birthday party at Old Busch Stadium. And the Cardinals were nice enough to bring Fred Bird into her birthday party. And Matt, she was horrified of Fred Bird. Couldn't wait till get him out of there. She was screaming like, get him out of there. So we had, as soon as he walked in, like 5 minutes later, we had to shove Fred Bird out the door because my daughter was about to go into cardiac arrest.
Oh man, that's a very personal touch to the Cubs-Cardinals rivalry. You know, we mentioned the Sandberg game at the top of this segment, and again, we're going to show it on MLB Network on Thursday afternoon. You know, it's worth just a couple of highlights from it, because Ryne Sandberg at the time had not established himself as a power hitter, but when you go deep against Bruce Sutter in the 9th and then in the 10th, and then you beat the Cardinals in the 11th, and you do it on national TV. Not only was it a coming out party for Sandberg, but for the rest of the country outside of that corridor that wasn't as familiar with the rivalry between those two long-standing National League clubs. It kind of gave everybody a window into this thing. And I remember watching that as a younger fan thinking, wow, this place, Wrigley Field, is pretty cool. And there's a lot of energy there for a game in June. And you guys, Dan, experienced that firsthand having played there.
You know, man, and what added to it in the 80s and 90s was Harry Carey. He was very much a part of the St. Louis broadcast, and then he made the switch into the White Sox, then the Cubs broadcast booth. So there were a lot of similarities. It's not quite, it doesn't have the angst as the Red Sox and the Yankees or the Dodgers and the Giants. It's more of a friendly rivalry, but it's a cool thing on a Friday afternoon in Wrigley Field. You see a lot of red hats and a lot of red shirts. The Cardinals fans travel well up north to Wrigleyville.
Yeah, people that played for the Red Sox and Yankees might have a different opinion, but Cubs-Cardinals for a lot of people is the best, if not one of the best, certainly, rivalries in the game. Speaking of ex-Yankees, have you seen CeCe lately? Boy, he's in the best shape of his life, and we have video proof to document it coming up next on MLB Tonight.
MLB Tonight is brought to you by GoDaddy. All the help and tools you need to be online. Start now at GoDaddy.com.
Fun event online as members of the 1997 World Series champion Florida Marlins got together to discuss their Game 7 triumph over the Indians, a group that included our own Cliff Floyd.
How can I be mad about not making that roster? But I was in my feelings about something that was totally just a selfish thing, and all these dudes on this squad had held me up the whole year. So it was more, you know, I was on the World Series roster. Thank goodness we got to that point, because it would have been awful to go home the way I went home.
And then there's this, a great event for younger fans, the Edu Cup 2020 with EverFi. Major League Baseball and EverFi, along with a number of other professional sports leagues, will be bringing the Edu Cup Challenge to K through 12th grade students throughout the U.S. and Canada. Students will have the opportunity to experience digital courses co-created by EverFi and the professional sports leagues and submit responses to a series of questions about the courses to become eligible to win an academic scholarship and other prizes. Visit educupchallenge.com to learn more. we leave you with this, the very impressive image of CC Sabathia, looking like he's ready for a career in MMA. Look at this dude.
Jacked, man.
That's
ripped.
Oh man. Look at he's ripped. Look at the abs.
Hey!
Oh, there's the gun show right there.
Did you put him on the program, Carlos? I mean, you're still flexing at the All-Star game, even post-playing career. Look at you. Look at those squats paying off. Danny, you know a little something about that, too.
Danny.
Yeah. You know
Hey,
what?
man.
This is the one thing being in quarantine. I've been eating well the last 2 months, Matty.
Dan, you looking
Quarantine
good, bro.
bodies.
Oh, the gun show.